massive win, Luke. We'll talk about him in a second. I want to talk about that final drive for the Chiefs. And I mentioned the 26 drops for Kansas City, most in the NFL. You said it. There was nothing more Patty Mahomes could possibly have done in that final drive.
No, and there were moments there. You saw him scramble early. You're like, uh-oh, here we go. He's going to do something spectacular. And he did. I mean, this guy, what more do you want from him? He needs players around him to make plays. I mean, you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles. It's Monday Night Football. You're at home, and you got a shot right here to win the game pretty much, and you drop one here. And then what's even more miraculous, on 4th and 25, this man extends the play, slings an absolute laser, and it's got his man Watson, and you just want him to come down with this. Yes, it's contested, but like you said, it's definitely a catchable ball. I feel for him because this was another moment where I thought he could have maybe added to his miraculous resume
100%.
of crazy plays and moments, and his kind of players let him down.
Eagles, on the other hand, get the victory, an incredible start for them. What did they prove to you in this game?
You know, I think they proved that they haven't played their best football yet. As weird as that sounds, Jay, you just heard Jalen Hurts say it. This team is so talented that they can play mediocre and they can play poorly by their standards and still find ways to win. This was not a good game by them. They had good moments, but all in all, the strength of this team on defense is their front four. Yep. They gave up a ton of rush yards. It was shocking the amount of rush yards they gave up. They were sacked 5 times. This offensive line is supposed to be very good. They struggle at times, but again, we're seeing the plays here. When you got players like Devontae Smith, or you got players like Swift, you got Jalen Hurts, and you have offensive linemen like Kelsey.
Yep.
Sometimes you can play poorly, and you make some big plays, and you win the game.
Well, let's talk about the fact that Hurts was sacked 5 times in the first half alone. That's got to be a little bit of a concern, doesn't it?
It was, Jay, and what was strange about it is coming into this thing, you thought, hey, you know, Steve Spagnuolo, he's a great defensive coordinator, ton of pressure. They're going to dial up a bunch of exotic blitz packages. That's not how these sacks happen. Look at this. Boom. Here's a sack. 4 rushers. This is a 4-man rush. They're dropping 7 in the zone. And you can sit here and say, what's going on? How come Hurts isn't getting rid of the ball? Well, everyone's sitting back in zone. 2nd sack, 4-man rush. 3rd sack, Chris Jones just beats the tackle there. 4-man rush. 4th sack, this has got 5 in the area, but the 5th man is spying the quarterback. 4-man rush. Here again, yes, it's a pressure from the DB, but you're dropping the outside edge. It's a 4-man rush. So that was a bit concerning to me. If this was a young offensive line where, okay, we got a little confused or we just got straight up beat, I would say, you know, okay, I can understand it. But for an offensive line with these type of players on it, and it's not just Kelsey. They got Cam Jurgens in there. I mean, they got everybody. Dickerson, the other guard, absolutely incredible. Both tackles are huge. Yes, it's just really strange to see them give up 5 sacks when they're only rushing 4 players. Very, very peculiar.
And yet, KC loses. And we should mention, like I mentioned, they're first in drops this season. They're also last in points per game in the second half of the season, which is incredible when you think about their record. They're last. They get shut out in the second half again tonight. How are they struggling so much? How do they find success in the second half of these games?
Jay, I'd love to sit here and tell you, like, I got some X and O or some real analytical data, but if you break this down, they just got to execute. I mean, there were so many plays that they just didn't perform well. I mean, you're sitting here in 3rd quarter. This is, again, you talk about execution. They're on a different page on what route is being run here. Here's another one to MVS. MVS runs this as a shallow corner. It's thrown as he's keeping it high. And then you had the physical mistakes. You know, there's a drop there in 2nd and 9 to make it more manageable. Here's a crucial 3rd down to get into field goal range. There's another drop. 2nd and 10. You know what's about to come. We just saw it. Win the game. No, we dropped the football. And, of course, you've got the 4th down play we've already spoken about. So, yes, you can sit here and say they're a bad second-half team, which today they were. They did abandon the run game a little bit, which worked in the first half. But in the same breath, they make a few of those plays which are extremely makeable.
Yeah.
All
like
of a sudden,
you said,
it's
all
different.
Execution, right?
Execution.
Could you see these 2 teams in the Super Bowl again?
I can, and this is going to be a bit of a controversial take here, Jay, but I actually think the Chiefs will have a harder path than the Eagles.
Interesting.
I think the Eagles, and my whole point of this is they face a lot of adversity. They're sitting here now at 9-1, And they haven't played that well
Yep.
to their standards. I want to be very clear on that. They've played good football, but for the players they have, the team they haven't played that well. I thought defensively, one of the guys that really showed up to me today was the Tennessee Titans safety who they traded for, Kevin Byard. Byard goes in there and made the secondary, which was a glaring weakness, look a lot better. They still can improve. I think there was a lot of fraudulent activity that happened of them allowing the run game, them not running the ball super well early. They'll get that cleaned up. I think the Eagles got a shot, but I think KC has a problem on offense. I mean, this was a perfect example, Jay.
Yeah.
How do they make these mistakes in this game?
It's amazing to see multiple receivers drop the ball on that final drive.
It
Like,
is.
it's actually shocking.
And if it's right now, if it's not Kelsey, which he didn't have a great game tonight,
No.
who is it? You know, they want Rashee Rice. Kadarius Toney had a couple catches. MVS is in there, but none of these guys have stepped up to be the number 2 guy for Mahomes.
They really miss Tyreek Hill.
Badly.
They really miss Tyreek Hill. Can we talk about Thursday? Because it's Thanksgiving in the United States of America, and that means a trio of games, Luke. The odds brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Your Lions. Oh boy, 7.5 point. I mean, back in the day, the thought of the Lions being favored by more than a touchdown over Green Bay, you would have never thunk it, but here we are.
It's outrageous. And again, I'd love to say I'm amped up for Thursday, but we've got 3 games, and the closest spread is 7 points.
Yeah, it's wild.
Hopefully there's an upset. Hopefully we get an upset in
Well,
there.
it finishes up with a division battle between your Seahawks, coming off a very disappointing loss, and the San Francisco 49ers. By the way, the winner of that Seahawks-Niners game, Luke, as you know, will be first in the NFC
We're gonna
West.
need a magic trick on that one. That's gonna be a tough one to win.